So I was recently on a top producer panel, and one of the questions that they had asked us was, what makes a real estate agent successful? And as I sat and reflected, and we're all the way in the month of October already, which signalizes the first month of the last quarter of the year. I've always looked back and thought to myself, if there's something that I would have known sooner that could help me elevate my game quicker, I wish I learned this at a much earlier stage in my career, which was making your fourth quarter your best quarter. But what do I kind of mean by making fourth quarter your best quarter? There are a couple of things that happen in the fourth quarter, which I have found over the years. Number one is the time change is going to happen very shortly, which means daylight saving goes down considerably and we don't have as much light. And in our business, light is pretty critical, especially if you're showing properties or looking at properties, important aspect of the real estate process. So with that, that means basically we have limited time to do what we normally do, especially coming off of summer. On top of that, we have the holidays that come around the corner. You have Halloween. Right after Halloween, we have Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, we got Christmas. After Christmas, we have New Year's. All of these things take time away from us putting into our normal business, which could mean that we're spending more time with family, could mean that we're traveling more during this time period. So what I noticed over the years is that agents tend to work much less during this time period, which I think should be completely opposite. Because if we're doing what all the other agents are doing, we're only going to be as good as the other agents, right? So if you want to be better, I have always said, look at yourself like an athlete, like a professional basketball player, right? You have the greats in the game like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. If you look at how they play the game in the fourth quarter, they actually are much more energized, or they have this extra gear that they tap into where they can outbeat the competition. This is the same thing in this real estate game as a real estate agent. While your competition is sleeping, they're taking time off, this is where you can actually propel yourself forward and do just a little bit more than your competition, and it's gonna set you up for a really good first quarter the following year. I've been listening to Ed Milet, and there's a quote that has resonated with me, and he said, "Success is not owned, it's leased, and the rent is due every day." This is very, very similar to what we have in the real estate business in terms of when people say success, right? You can close that big transaction that's $2, $3, $4, $5 million. But if you don't close your next transaction for another 6 months, is that really considered success? When I was asked, what does it take to make someone successful in this business? I think there's a thing that you have to look at. The difference between successful people and others is how they use their time. So as most people are not utilizing their time efficiently here in the fourth quarter, think to yourself, what more can you do in the fourth quarter that your competition isn't doing? And if you follow these truths, you'll find out you'll be much more successful when it comes to the next year. There's a couple of things that I do in the fourth quarter, which I think are very critical. The first one I actually do every quarter, which is basically chunking down specific rocks that I myself or my team needs to accomplish by 12/31 of the end of the year. The other thing that is very critical is starting your business plan at the end of October, having it finished by mid-November, and really having everything ready to go and to start to be implemented by the middle of December. Reason being is because we don't want to start our business plan January 1st, because that's when everybody else is trying to get back into the swing of things. By January 1st, of the new year, you should already have things implemented and the system should be running. And at that point, then you can test to see what's working and what's not working. It's gonna save you a lot of time. It's gonna save you a lot of effort. So then you're not behind the 8 ball when the new year starts. And what I have found is keeping the same business hours during the fourth quarter as the other quarters is gonna help you tremendously, because the more time that you can spend on your craft and what you do day in and day out on your business is only going to help you propel much quicker because there's always going to be a learning curve with everything that we do. And plus, during this time when the competition is taking more time off or they're working less, this is how you can actually gain advantage over the field. So hopefully you enjoyed these tips, and I wish you the best of success.